Hello and welcome to Who You, the unofficial Doctor Who watch along podcast. I am one of your hosts, Cameron, and on today's episode, we are going to be discussing the goat, the episode of classic Doctor Who, the Caves of Androzani, the final episode of the Fifth Doctor's era. But before we get into that, I'm here with my co-host Ben. How are you doing today, Ben?
I am at the tail end of a sickness,
Mm.
uh, but I'm like,
So if people are like your voice is off, that's why.
it might be slightly off. I'm 90% there.
Mm.
I might sound slightly more nasally, especially
Yeah.
as uh, the episode progresses. But I'm hyped and ready, and I got lots of energy to talk about Androzani today.
But anyways, it's Ben. It's a big one. So you know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna open up. I'm gonna drink a beer. So I have this Lake George magnet, and this Lake George magnet's gonna open up this Sam Adams beer.
Wow. If I wasn't sick, I would drink a beer as well.
So cheers on you, Peter Davison.
Cheers.
You've been a doctor. Ah. All right, Ben. Let's just get it right into it.
Yes.
Caves of Androzani, directed by Graeme Harper. This is his first episode of Doctor Who that he's directed. Of course, before this, he was a production assistant on a couple of episodes. Let me see if I can get. I didn't write down what production assistant episodes he was under. So I'm trying to figure out what he was production assistant on. But yeah, we're just gonna skip that. Oh yeah, assistant floor manager on Calling in Space, Planet of the Daleks, Planet of Spiders, and then was production assistant on The Seeds of Doom and Warriors Gate. And supposedly he did do some partial contribution to the directing of Warriors Gate. But this is his first episode he directed. Goes on to do Revelation of the Daleks next season. Was gonna do one of the famous episodes that he was gonna do was gonna be Yellow Fever and how to cure it. Have you heard about this episode, Ben?
That's like the original season 23, right?
Yes. And it was gonna be Robert Holmes was gonna write the Master and the Autons again. So it was going to be a sequel, semi-sequel to Terror of the Autons. It would have been nice to have gotten that story, but it's one of those great like what ifs because we never got it.
Big Finish better get on that.
Shocked that's one of those ones where they never did it. But also it's hard because they haven't recasted Anthony Ainley's Doctor yet, so they would have to do that.
I'm shocked.
But of course, Graeme Harper then famously does the jump to New Who, directs a bunch of New Who. Biggest contributions, I would say, mainly Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. He did Utopia, and he did Turn Left, Stolen Earth, and Journey's End, and The Water of Mars. Some of the best David Tennant episodes. And also directs episodes of the Sarah Jane Adventures. And yeah, like he is just the GOAT. I also there was a time that I think a lot of Doctor Who fans know this that he was going to do the Doc Dimension. Have you heard about the Doc Dimension, Ben?
I have not.
That was going to be the season, not the season, the 30th. No, sorry, the 35th. No, sorry, that was going to be the 30th anniversary special. That it was going to be directed by Graeme Harper, and it was going to have all the Doctors in it, mainly Fourth Doctor, and it was going to be like a BBC Video was going to do it, but it was just one of those things where the production just got so overblown, and we never got it. It's one of those great like what ifs. And also just would have been a weird one because you would have all the other doctors in it, but then Tom is the main one. So then that kind of is like not fair to all the other doctors to have a multi-doctor special where one of the older doctors is the main doctor.
That would have been weird.
Also probably would just never would have happened because it's like, why would John Pertwee agree to that? Or why would like Colin Baker agree to that? It would just be too awkward. But anyways, Caves of Androzani. Written by Robert Holmes, of course. Robert Holmes comes back. Remember, he was going to do Five Doctors, but then never was able to get a grasp on that story.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the seal was broken to bring Robert Holmes back. This is the first time he's been back for like it's like 6 years. The last time he wrote for the show was for Power Crawl, which of course is such a bad, shitty story. So if that was the final story for Robert Holmes to go out on, that would have been such a sad moment for the show. That it's very, very good fortune that they brought him back for this episode, the end of Peter Davison's run. Of course, highly regarded as being the greatest writer of the show. Uh, do you think he's one of the greatest writers of the show, Ben?
I mean, pretty close. Like he, looking at his filmography here, he's got a lot of like the biggest episodes he did. Piers of
Or had some
Mars,
contribution to?
yeah. Ark in Space, Spearhead from Space. There's a couple oddballs like, Crotons and Space Pirates and Power of Kroll. But like even like The Sunmakers is like one of the best of the Graham Williams era. Like, and especially that he did the big ones in Philip Hinchcliffe era.
And also, it's just touched every script for that because he was the
Yeah.
script editor, of course.
One of the goats for sure.
Yeah, so it's just thank God they brought him back, even though he really never does anything this grand again for the show. Spoilers, I guess. Sorry, Ben. Music by Roger Lim, and then of course Graham Hopper is the no, sorry, the and of course John Nathan Turner is the producer and script editor is Eric Sayward. Just to point out Eric Sayward's like contributions to the story. Eric Sayward wrote the celery scene and then he wrote the last scene. So that little bit where we finally get the the moment that we all been waiting for. Why the hell is the doctor wearing celery? Was written by Eric Sayward. And
Yeah.
I honestly, I'm kind of shocked because that it does feel like a Robert Holmes line.
Yeah.
It's a very cute payoff for his final story to finally have that explanation of like, oh, well, I do it because there's a poisons that there's poisons in the air, gases in the air that I'm poisonous to. It will turn purple, and then what do you do? Oh, well, then I eat the celery. And yeah, so I guess it's finally time, Ben. So what did you think of Caves of Androzani,
Uh
the goat?
I kind of want to talk about Graham Harper a little bit or
Well, no, we can talk about that later. Let's just talk about general impressions because we have I have so much to say about Graham
okay.
Hopper. To have like this be like 30 minutes of talking about Graham Hopper and then talk about the general thoughts of the story would kind of feel weird.
Fair enough. So yeah, it's a damn fantastic episode, I would say. I was really worried I was going to be overhyped. Like, sure, it's great. Yeah. It can't be that great. And during like the first one, maybe two parts, I was like, yeah, I guess it's good. But part 3 just ramped everything up, and then I had to watch part 4 right away, and I was just on the edge of my seat the whole time. And really, it's pretty much, even looking back on those first two parts reflectively, it's such a cohesive package that is pretty much perfect in all regards. The cast, the effects, the directing. This just feels different from
Oh yeah.
any other uh, episode of the show. I can see why. Oh yeah, this is the guy we should need to bring back for the new series. Really pushing the limits of what is possible with the time and money available to him. Was it? I forget where I heard this. It might have been in that little interview thing you sent me where he's talking about like he was like down on the floor instead of up in the booth on the looking
Yeah.
at the monitor. And
Because of course, for if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, the most of Classic Doctor Who was multicam. And when they do multicam, what they had to do is they go to the gallery. So the gallery is where it has all like the monitors that you would have, and you would be able to tell like the people that's on it, basically cut to camera 1, cut to camera 2, cut to camera 3, like a news program. but instead is a news program. It's drama television. Of course, him being a good director is like, I don't want to be there. I want to be there with the cameraman. I want to be there with the actors. So he did a lot of the story from there instead of the typical way of being the BBC director. But of course, we're going to talk about
I
more
know.
about
I'm
this when we get to Graham
immediately
Harper.
getting
Though.
sidelined, but yeah, it's fantastic. Definitely
Yeah,
coldest take imaginable. This is definitely, I think, the best story that Peter Davison did.
wow, that is such a revolutionary take. Um, my thoughts on it is that I watched this before. I watched this actually pretty late as a Doctor Who fan because I never really had access to it. I don't know why, but I never come across this DVD as a child. So I only watched this once I got streaming, which would have been like around when I was a teenager. And of course, I loved it. I thought it was great. Did have slight issues with the. I'm terrible with names. I did have slight issues with Morgus, like, monologue straight to camera as a teenager. It was like
Oh,
because there's nothing like that in all of Doctor Who, well, except for maybe some of Ncudi's Doctor Who, but, like, it felt so out of place. I go along with it now as not a jaded teenager.
are you talking about? Does he do like a whole monologue or?
Yeah, he does, like it's like a Shakespearean theater-esque, "I'm just going to monologue to the camera."
Uh, I'm remembering he's like talking with, I think it's Stotz,
Yeah.
uh, and he's talking with them, and he does like a whole like Shakespeare aside to the camera, like this guy, am I right? He's just betraying me, and
He
turns
does that the
back,
whole story, man.
and it's like, is that a fourth wall break? Is he just like
Yeah.
dramatic? I don't know.
Well, what it was like in the script, it was supposed to be just like what he like thought at that moment for the actor, I guess. But he just read it out loud, and Graham Harper was like, "You know what? I like this. You can do this," and then it worked, and then it just kept it. Um, but except that was my main issue as a teenager, but I like it now, because his performance is fantastic. But yeah, it's just Graham Harper is directing it with every ounce of his being, and then as well as Robert Holmes is just writing one of the best scripts he has ever written for the show. Definitely, it's like we talked about this a lot with him in the Graham Williams era. It was like Graham Williams was definitely a producer that restricted him. Was one that was like, don't go so much darker, be as cynical. But then you have someone like Eric Sayward that is a doc writer, as we
Yeah,
just saw 2 stories ago with his Dalek story. And then he's like pushing Robert Holmes to go Docker. And this is definitely like this is Mary Whitehouse's nightmare. Is Caves of Androzani.
yeah,
This is like even more Docker than even the Hinchcliffe era.
yeah.
Uh
Everybody loses.
yes, famously, this story has every male character dies in it. The only two that survives is the two female characters. One not even on the island, not even on the planet, and the other is almost dies, but is saved at the end of the day. And she does not have a good time in this story.
It's different than Resurrection, though. It's
Yeah.
Resurrection. It's more of a violence in it, while this is more despair
Yeah, which
and
really it
betrayal.
fits. But like the tone, if we're the thing of tone, the tone of this fits so well for a finale regeneration story that he is coming to face with death himself. So the whole story around him is death. Like this is not Doctor Who every week. This is Doctor Who for a doctor that is leaving us and is going to die. This is definitely a regeneration story where the doctor dies. And it's all just building to that moment. This also, like, just to point out before when we have the general discussions, I want to talk about this. Generally, a critique with a lot about 80s Doctor Who. I think this does have that critique, is that the Doctor is a bystander. That is just the Doctor gets on this planet, things happen around him, and then he leaves. That he has no really contributions. He really doesn't have any contributions to the story. It's not like he's like there to save he doesn't save the day, like we just talked about. Uh I think it's helped her that he is poisoned. Him and Peri are poisoned, so he has that to fight through, and like they are involved in the story because of that. It's not just a story like Resurrection of the Daleks where they just kind of show up and then they leave for other stories like that. This one, it's like he has. There's always clear goals for the Doctor. This story of just like once we get to that part two, because part one is a little bit of like okay, but that's every part one of Doctor Who. But like there's like oh no, I have to go back to Peri and slash I need to get the antidote to cure both Peri and myself. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, it
We
turns
haven't even talked about Sharaz Jek.
yeah, having I mean they are definitely kind of a bystander in some sense though. I feel like it kind of enhances it. 'Cause, like all these horrible things happening to them. I mean, it isn't their kind of fault. It's just kind of they are the wrong place at the wrong time, and they end up in this network of conspiracies fighting for their lives.
Yeah, big cat and mouse game.
Yeah. Everybody thinks everybody's out to get them.
Which they are.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, Morgus was like hallucinating or
Yeah.
seeing phantoms and then doing drastic actions as a result of that in part 3 that were not needed. But in general, yes.
And then Sharaz Jek is just driven by that revenge of just wanting to get back at Morgus for what he did to him.
Let's talk about
Just
him.
fantastic stuff. Sharaz, do you want to talk about Sharaz Jek?
Yeah.
Of course, there's a lot of things about Sharaz Jek that is like. Have you ever watched Phantom of the Not Phantom of the sorry, that's one of my favorite movies. Is Phantom of the Paradise, Phantom of the Opera.
No.
But
And I've
very
seen
much
like
you could
half
probably,
of Paradise.
but you could probably imagine there's a lot of Phantom of the Opera in here.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
even as somebody that hasn't seen it or watched it or
Just from
like
what
it's just
I've
cultural
absorbed,
osmosis.
yeah. It's 100%.
Of just he's just has that obsession
Even
with
like
the beauty of
half a
Peri
face,
and the half a face and the mask and just
his
like
own beauty.
and like that one is kind of like at least with the play. I've only seen the musical. I haven't seen like the original movie or the book or whatever. But at least with the movie, it is like a romance. Where this is not a romance. This is much more dark and creepy. And he's like has this perversion for Peri.
Yes.
It is so creepy towards her. It's really unsettling and very much is towing that line of is this a kid show? Is this even regardless of kid show? Is this a family show? Like,
Yeah, what would the 8-year-old British schoolboy think of this episode?
he would say it's fucking awesome. That's what he would say.
Would he?
Oh yeah, would be terrified by it, but he would be glued to it. It's like, what is this?
Perhaps.
I can't say because I didn't watch this as an 8-year-old. I wish I could have. I would love to have known what I would have thought of it.
But yeah, who is it? Christopher Gable.
Which, of course, we have to talk about the casting. Did you read about the casting of Sharaz Jek?
No.
So they offered it to Tim Curry, which you know who Tim Curry is.
Oh, of course. He's
They offered it to him.
What's his character in
Frankenfurter.
Frankenfurter, yeah.
In Rocky Horror Picture Show. That's his main one. Also, Clue is another big movie of his. But just one of those what ifs of just like, oh, Tim Curry and Doctor Who would have been perfect. Especially in that role. He would have been able to go so campy and so like Christopher Gable does such a fantastic job, but it is one of those dream ones of just like, what could have been? But the even greater what could have been is they offered it to David Bowie. And it's just like the only thing he said was basically him slash his management said that he was too busy for because he had tour dates. So it wasn't a rejection. And they didn't ghost Doctor Who. David Bowie just said I can't because I'm touring. But like
Damn,
just
David
imagine.
Bowie, that would have been crazy.
But also like there's that implications of just like imagine the BBC Doctor Who David Bowie. All right, so we got David Bowie. So what? So we're gonna see his face? No, not at all. So what do you mean? Like he's gonna be in a mask the whole entire thing? Okay, but like he's gonna take the mask off at some point, right? Yes, but he's gonna be horribly disfigured enough that every character that sees his face screams.
And he's going to be incredibly predatory towards our female leads.
Yes, who is very young. Oh, great. But also it's one of those things where I could imagine that that was probably that could have been an honest thing for David Bowie. That I bet you if David Bowie read the script, he could have said yes. It could have been up his alley.
I can picture him 100%
But like,
using that labyrinth energy.
yes. But Christopher Gable is what we got, and we got was fantastic. He does such a great job. Famously, he was at least famously for Doctor Who fans, he was a ballet dancer, which I think helps so much because so much of this performance is physical. That he's in a mask and he's in like this very tight latex outfit that like he does such a great job at that physical performance of the role and is just gives off one of the most memorable villains of Doctor Who ever. Even though he's not really in the story that much, uh, he gets introduced in part two. Well, at the end of part one, but mostly in part two. Um, but even that, it's like there's so many storylines this episode, and that's one of the things that's so great about it is that there's so many storylines. It's constantly moving, but none of it feels like it's too rushed, and none of it feels like it needed more information. Everything was like it's just so perfectly paced.
I really like towards in part 4 when things are getting very grim. There's a shift where him and the doctor like team up. Like, yeah, you're a fucking creep, but right now the like planet's about to explode. Basically, we're dying. But right now, both of our top priorities are saving this girl. So let's work
Yeah,
together. A little, not exactly a redemption, but like,
it's great. And then the final moments with him and Morgus doing that final like battle is just some great third act final resolution to our characters of just they both have such hatred towards each other that's just like and you fear that the whole entire story. So when they finally meet and they have that moment, it's such a great payoff and such a great ending.
oh yeah. And him and Peter Davison's chemistry really great.
Yeah. But let's talk about Graham Hopper. Graham Hopper, of course, gives this story such a great energy. He is like it's a young energy, even though he's 39 when he directs this. This is one of his earliest directing for the BBC. Because like BBC is very much unionized at this point, and very much like I still think it is at this point, but of course we can't. We're American, so we can't say too much about it. But like there's programs that they'll go up in, and it's a lot of like going up in the on the ladder. So he's 39 when he directs it, but he directs it like he's like in his early 20s. Like he is very youthful in his direction of the story, directing it like it's single camera, even though a lot of it is single camera because a lot of it is quarries, and it's some of the best quarry work of all of classic Doctor Who. But then when we do get into the studio, he directs it like it is single camera. Did you notice that at all?
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of close ups and over the shoulder and shaky cam
But
and
like in the studio, mostly he does a lot of like he'll do a oneer that's a tracking shot that's mostly blocked. That it's just like he's very intentional. Like I'm gonna use this shot. The camera's gonna move in this way, and the characters are gonna move in this way. So then they're in the shot and they're in the background and they're talking, and then like it's this direction that we have never gotten in classic Doctor Who. Classic Doctor Who is not a blocked show at this point, or it's after this. It's like he's doing Spielberg type oneers of like I'm going to tell this whole story in a shot or two, and using the multi-camera as basically I'm gonna use it as a way of I would a second camera of just like I'm just gonna do it like I'm gonna get that reaction shot, so I'm just gonna use it then, and I'm not gonna just have basic TV coverage of just an over the shoulder, two over the shoulders, a close up, and a wide. It's he's not directing it like that at all. It's like especially with in particular the Sharaz Jek stuff. and a lot of that stuff is like Sharaz Jek is in the foreground, and in the background is the Fifth Doctor and Peri, and they're constantly moving, and it's just really great direction stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
I can't say enough about it.
I don't have the vocabulary that you do, but even I can tell. It just a completely different energy to it. Really changing the visual language.
Oh yeah, and it's just like it's such a one of the weirdest things about rewatching this is just like I'm shocked that he didn't become a feature director, because you see this and you definitely could imagine a world that he directed movies, because
Yeah.
there is that level of craftsmanship here that's just like he knows how to work the camera. And like again, like you mentioned, it's just like it makes total sense why Russell, being a super mega fan, there's a couple of things in there where you definitely doing what you're doing, Ben, of going in order. And then especially when I do show you some of like the select expanded media stuff of the Wilderness years, uh it's you're gonna see the payoff of just like, wow, Russell really is a mega fan, and Russell really like came at this as like, I'm gonna pick this director because this director did these episodes. He directed Caves of Androzani, so I got to bring him back to the show. I got to get Paul Cornell because he wrote the best book. I got to get Robert Shimon because he wrote the best play. It's definitely in that category. Um, and like I just want to mention also just about Graham Hopper is that like I sent you a particular clip of this. I think is one of like, the most well directed scenes of this whole episode, which is the Stotz, which we have not, or it's Stotz or Stotzi. It's not a name that we are familiar with. It's Stotz. I think some of the characters call him Stotzy. But Stotz, it's him and his men, and it's a scene where basically one of the guys is trying to like be like try to take charge, and he's like the alpha of the group.
Yeah.
And in that one little clip alone, he is Grim Hopper is shooting it over the shoulder, and it's like over the shoulder, like moving shots of the both of them are moving, and like there's this great over the shoulder shot where it's moving with the characters moving, and we see like the quarry at like this like cliff of the quarry when they move right into it, and like there's so many shots of like the not Clint Eastwood, but the western like in between the leg shots, and like just so much just capital D direction of like this isn't like something that he came up with the day. He didn't come up with this on the day. He probably shot listed this, had this planned out, maybe even did basic sketches of storyboards. This, or if he did this on the day, then it's very impressive because it's very much feels like this shot goes here, this shot goes there. It is designed. It's not like just covered where a lot of TV is. Um, and even though there's one point of blocking that it is very comical of there's like two of the guys come up with guns and they just pop up out of nowhere. Do you know the shot I'm talking about at all?
Not like the back of my hand.
But like every single time I see it, it's so funny to me that the guys just pop up out of nowhere. It's very comical and very much like student filmy in a way, but it works. I get the idea. Um but that scene alone, I love it so much. I gotta shout out Letterbox a review of Lily, who wrote the between the legs shot of Stotz and the entire scene following is peak gay cinema. And you know what? I can't agree more. But yeah, I guess is there anything more you have to say about Graham Harper, Ben?
Don't think so. He's just really damn good. I wish every episode was directed like this episode.
But like even like I've been watching Star Trek The Next Generation, which has such a bigger budget than Classic Doctor Who, and even that show it doesn't have the direction of Caves of Androzani.
Yeah.
So it's still very impressive that he's able to do this on a BBC budget in timelines. It's like I have no idea how he was able to do it. Probably not a lot of sleep.
Probably barely.
Yeah. He mentions in a couple of interviews where I watched with him, he did mention that like there was a couple of times where they were like, all right, Graham, you have to use multi-camera. You can't get the shot right now. And he had to some come to it. But for most of it, it's pretty much you can tell that he's directing it like modern TV or movie, which is why he adapted so well to modern TV stuff when he had the chance to do single camera and at least two camera TV.
Yeah. I think that's the word for it. It feels so modern compared to the vast majority of what has come before. You know, we've come a long way, you know, particularly like the black and white stuff. That was like I couldn't tell you precisely what the technical difference is, but like black and white at times. I know it was like recorded live. It
Yeah.
felt like kind of a play at times because they were
Oh
all
yeah.
on sets and then, just keep the camera rolling and what happens happens. And Spearhead from Space I think was a big departure from that, or
Yeah.
probably earlier, but
Yeah, like I would say that the big ones being the Douglas Camfield and David Maloney were the two big directors that like very much they are those are the goats of that era of the show. They were like they are doing direction for the show.
yeah. But this is like, yeah, like a movie, so very modern feeling.
Like even like compared to other TV of this era, it's like not even other shows are doing it like this.
Oh, I'm sure EastEnders could never. That's the
He
only
did direct a
show
couple. I did see
that I
he did
know.
direct a couple episodes of Coronation Street, and he did like he is now. I think I saw is on soap operas, which is kind of a shame. But still good for him. He's 80 years old, still working.
Yeah. Wikipedia says he did 20 episodes of Hollyoaks.
Yeah, Hollyoaks, which I believe is a soap opera. But Coronation Street, he did 45 episodes of it. And he did do 7 episodes of your favorite EastEnders, Ben.
Oh boy. Are you ready for the EastEnders segment of our podcast where we watch, I think it's like 3 or 4 years before Dimensions in Time?
Oh, great. He also directed a couple episodes of Inside Number 9, which is a show I really do need to watch one day. I would imagine I would like it. We talked about it a little bit. Let's get to Stotz, Ben. What did you think of Stotz this episode?
He is very good. Yeah, he kind of creeps up on you, at the start where, oh yeah, that's just a. I think a lot of these people do actually, where that's just Doctor Who is filled to the brim with one-off side characters that come and go. Oh, that's the military mercenary guy. We've seen a character like him dozens and dozens of times. Uh, but as it goes on, you kind of see his twists to it that, it's the double and triple crossing and uh, that I think scene that you mentioned earlier where the uh, takeover or attempted takeover really highlighting his character differences and his the strength of his performance.
Yeah, because like he gives the guy like a cyanide pill, and he's like screaming at him, "Bite, bite!" And then it just with like having like a knife on him, like on a cliffside. It's just like it's such a good like it's like in part two, and it's just like it's such a good just like not even not introduction to the character, but it certifies for the characters for the audience of going like this is another guy to mess around with, and it's also just like so much of it, even though yes, it's on the page, but so much of it is the performance. The actor does such a great job. Modern no, it's not modern. It is Maurice Rivez. Rivez. I'm bad. I'm bad with names. I think this has been established in the show. But anyways, he does such a great job in that performance. It's so big and so like commanding, and he is a threat throughout this whole entire story. So when he is like even screaming at the doctor in part three's cliffhanger, which we will totally talk about, it is such an iconic moment of him just going like, "I'll murder you when I get in there, doctor." Like that line, you could imagine that line by a bad actor, and you would be like, oh,
Yeah.
but he says it, and it's you believe it. You believe that he's gonna fucking murder the doctor, and is gonna. He is like such a presence, just like almost every actor in the story, even though they're giving you such big performances. I think Graham Hopper, that's one of the things we didn't talk about. We talked a lot about Graham Hopper, the director, the camera work, but like he's also like he's doing such great work with the camera, but he's also doing such great work with the actors
Yeah.
of just letting them give these gigantic performances. They're not subtle performances. They're going all the way for it. They're like all the way maxed up turned to 11 performances. Every single
110%.
actor.
Yeah.
But like they all are such a delight to watch. I think it's one of the reasons why this story is so rewatchable. Like you said, I could rewatch it right now. It's just like
Yes.
those performances are so much a part of that. Um, and Stotz is like that, and as well as the another side character is before we get to Morgus, is why am I having a blank? Who's like the commander? General Chellak. It's like he is such a great performance. There's a lot talking about Graham Hopper's shots. It's like he has that shot that he uses throughout I think the whole story of like it's him like leaning over the desk.
Yeah.
And like that's the main shot he uses for him. And he's just like constantly is just like at the edge of just like, I am done with this. The war is going to be over. And he's so fed up with this little cat and mouse game that he's has to deal with Sharaz Jek and these caves, or not really caves, but you know. Ah, he's so great.
I think, yeah, pretty much every performance here is fantastic.
And like we talked about, Morgus is one that also is just giving like probably there's a debate that he's giving even a bigger performance than Christopher Gable. That John Normington, because even Sharaz Jek is not speaking into the camera. Like it is murdering the like does he murder the president, or was
Yeah.
it somebody else that was high official?
No, the
Like
president.
like and it's not like a subtle like it's not like he stabs him or something. He pushes him off of the skyscraper building
Yeah, down an elevator shaft.
and then gives a monologue straight to the camera afterwards. It's just like that's the type of story this is, and it's very play like his monologues to the camera. And like I said, it did bother me as a teenager, but I think it works. I think it does work because of how big the story is throughout the entirety of it. It's not like it doesn't feel out of place with how big these performances are. Maybe in another story it does, because another Doctor Who story where you have more serious performances, it would be like, I don't know about this. But for Caves of Androzani, it fits right at home.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like so what else to talk about? Because basically, I don't feel like we have to go beat by beat because there's so much of the story is just like the Doctor, Peri land. It's a very much a generic first pot episode, but then they get introduced to this world. They then of course get like they stump on the is it an egg or
It's a nest or something. A Spectrox nest, I think.
yeah, which is what they all are farming for more life, is it?
Yeah, it can be refined into Spectrox, a drug that prolongs your life,
Yeah.
gives you more youth. I think a functional immortality as long as you have it.
Yeah. Which letterbox user, let me see who wrote it. It's the first thing on letterbox. It is hate Hatercles says simultaneously the best adaptation of both Dune and Phantom of the Opera, which is very much it is kind of Dune-esque. It is about
Yes.
space drugs, and it is on it wants to be like a Dune-esque planet. Of course, it's on a BBC budget still, but yeah, it just all revolves around the space drug, and it's all like not Doctor Who, but it's all complicated like cat and mouse games of just like we're working for him, but he's working for us, and it's just like everyone's working for Morgus except Sharaz Jek, but Sharaz Jek is basically he's in charge of everything. Basically,
Yeah.
he's not going to get any.
He
Nobody's going to come
controls
towards
the
him.
flow.
Yeah.
holding it hostage, declaring war.
And his whole thing is it's like I he just wants Morgus in his death, basically. He wants his revenge. But Morgus is so powerful that they'd rather have this war than give Morgus, basically. But yeah, so then like then they get Perry and Doctor get introduced to like the military guys. Then they get introduced to Sharaz Jek. Then Sharaz Jek goes
Well,
off
I mean,
to
before
meet
that
up.
though,
Yeah,
immediately, they do a video Zoom with Morgus, and he's like, kill him, and they get imprisoned and executed before, or
yeah.
they're about to be executed when Sharaz Jek uh, rescues them and swaps out for android
Yeah.
doubles, which are
I was
executed in
saving
their
that for
stead.
cliffhangers, man.
Oh,
But
I mean, I feel like more than typically, the cliffhangers here, they're like part of the story. So often we see
wow.
cliffhangers. I know it's kind of a crazy sentence, but so often cliffhangers are just like yada 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 yada. Oh, there's a problem with an easy
Wait a
resolution.
minute. Wait a minute. There's a problem. It's more like, oh god, somebody has a gun. It's pointing towards the doctor.
Oh no! And then the resolution is actually never mind. It's fine.
Yeah, the doctor just
But
ran away from
like
the bullets. It's fine.
it feels
No, I
much
definitely
more
agree.
connected, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's
It
written.
doesn't feel like,
Who would have
oh
thought?
wait, oh shit, I need a cliffhanger this week. And then he gets a gun pulled at him.
Yeah,
It's Robert
it's like
Holmes
somebody
does
that
a good
has
job.
done this for years is writing a doctor's story and coming back and is now saying, "All right, now let me get cracking at this."
Yes.
It's not somebody's first attempt at writing a doctor's story. He is a veteran at this point. He knows how everything works. He must have had enough, especially being the last episode of the season. He must have had enough time to
Second to
really.
last.
Well, yeah. Sorry, I always forget. I always forget that one. That's part of season 21. But yeah, it's second to last episode of the season, so he must have had all this time to work on it. It's not like he's just bum rushing this and writing this in a week. You know. Anyways, then we get Sharaz Jek. Then Um, then Sharaz Jek. Then they find out that they're poisoned because they're in the nest. And then at some point, Sharaz Jek goes off to deal with Stotz and does like the trade. And then the Doctor and Peri split up.
Or
The
they
Doctor
they
goes
team
with
up with
Stotz.
Salatine, and they
Yes,
escape.
which has the interesting thing there of his android is with the the military guys. So Sharaz Jek has had a one up hand on everything they have ever done, basically.
Yes.
Which you would think they would have probably figured out at a point of just like, wow, Sharaz Jek always is one step ahead of us. I wonder why.
You would think that my right hand man is actually an android. But that's, I think, Salatine in both android and human form is another great performance
Yes. No, 1000%.
with the
Underrated performance of this story.
betrayal to kidnap Peri and
Okay, so then Doctor and Peri get split up. Doctor's with Stotz. Peri is stuck with Sharaz Jek. And then they bring the Doctor up to this ship. Then the Doctor gets to control the ship, and then they crash it down. Then the Doctor crashes it down, of course, in the famous Pod 3 cliffhanger. Kind of sped through all of Pod 3 pretty quickly there, but
yes, he skipped some steps, but that's ultimately what
you know,
happens.
yes. And then we get some great stuff with the Doctor running away from Salty's men. Well, so sorry, it's not Salty. I think they do call him Salty at some points, but they Salt's men run after him, and there's some great. Graeme Harper is having fun, just having shots of just the Peter Davison running away from them, and he has his big cloak, and there's just tons of explosions are going off around him while they are shooting at him, and the planet is dying, and it's just big end of Part 4. Things are happening in the plot, you know.
Yes,
And at the same time,
that's
of
actually
course,
the beginning of part four. There, Cam.
yeah,
Things continue to happen for the next 20 minutes, and
yeah,
it's
yeah. And then you get
on
the
the
great
edge of
stuff
your
of like
seat.
the military guys are with Sharaz Jek, and then they all die, and because they think that they have like little bads that will protect them, and of course it doesn't protect them, and they just all die. Because Sharaz Jek is one step ahead of everyone. Ben Morgus eventually does go to Androzani minor away from major. He kills the president. We already talked about that, and so then yeah, so we have this whole the doctor, both the doctor and Morgus and Stotz are all going through Sharaz Jek. And of course, at this whole entire time, you're just thinking, how is the doctor going to save Peri? And then eventually he does go to Sharaz Jek. Sharaz Jek is then, like you said, like they basically have to be like, right, we don't like each other, but we gotta save Peri. So Sharaz Jek is like, you gotta go underneath to get the what
The
exactly does
the
he need to get?
queen bat's milk.
Queen Bat's milk, which is there's some fun special effects stuff with him getting the milk.
Yeah.
Um, when he gets the milk, and then of course, like I mentioned,
That whole
Morgus gets the cave.
sequence where he's going down deep into the caves.
Yeah.
I think it might just be the music. I mean, the music throughout this, great, heightening the
Yes.
tension. Particularly when he's like, and down in the caves, there's like a gong in the music,
Yes.
which works really well. When I first watched it, I thought it was actually the cloister bells,
Yeah.
um, but I don't think it is. But I
No.
kind of works to
It's
have
similar.
it be similar. I think as the end approaches, as the doctor is using every ounce of his strength.
Again, the music is done by Roger Lim, and he does do a great job this episode. Especially if we're talking about we're during the regeneration, but that regeneration music is awesome. Really adds to that, as well as just throughout the whole story. Um, but yeah, so then he gets the milk at the same time. Morgus and Stall survive, and they all die. The whole base is gonna explode and burn, and he rescues Peri, and he has Peri in his arms, running to the TARDIS, and then he gives Peri the antidote once he's in the TARDIS, and then he says the famous line.
Let's put a
Yeah,
pin in the
okay, okay.
regeneration. I wanna let's loop back around to it. Um, that's like that's the outline of the whole thing. I think the big thing we haven't really talked about is Peter Davison and the Doctor doing a fantastic performance.
Yes,
His great stories are so limited, but I think it takes a lot of what those stories do well. Like I think the other obvious great story of his is Earthshock, where it's putting him in a bleak circumstance, having to, protect those he cares about at all costs. He's standing in front of that Cyberman to protect Tegan. This is that again dialed up to 11, where he is more, I think, heroic than he's ever been. He's like that part 3 cliffhanger especially sits with me like I may fucking blow up right now, but I have to try to save her because it's my fault that she's in this.
so you see, you can't stop me now. Dong. So good.
Yes. The self-sacrifice against all odds. It's taken a lot of the elements that has been hinted at but really not present for a lot of this, where he's, I guess, kind of a family guy. He's got a big crew. He's a kinder doctor, I guess. And it's really exemplified here.
But of course, there's also that thing of like Robert Holmes was on record saying like, I just wrote him like he was the fifth Doctor. I mean, sorry, I wrote him like he was the fourth Doctor.
Yeah.
Like there was no big separation. But like Peter's doing such a great job, like you said. Like his performance is just like Peter's Doctor is at his best when he's against a big obstacle, and this obstacle is like his biggest obstacle that he has to come with almost apart from Earthshock. It's just like like it's even greater than Earthshock. You could say it's just
Yeah.
like everything is beating him down.
Even if he wrote it like Tom Baker, I think that is, if it's the performance, then that it really, I can't picture Tom Baker. I mean, I can kind of picture him in this role, but I think Peter Davison
He fits it
himself,
like a
it
glove.
fits perfectly.
Like, and it also like there's something to it of like we will talk about this, but like I would just mention it now. Um, the big finish, right?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of Fifth Doctor and Perry stories. There's a whole nother companion that's with the Fifth Doctor and
Paramem,
Perry.
right?
But I don't know. I haven't really listened to them, but in my head canon, that does not happen. It fits so much better. This doctor is willing to sacrifice his whole life. He
He doesn't even know if
I
he'll be able to
believe
regenerate.
in my belief, in my head, he does not think he does not know if this is going to be a regeneration or not. He thinks this might be death. He says, "Is this death?" And then he also says like it feels different this time. Like there's a good chance that he's
Yeah.
dying, but he's not gonna. There's other doctors that like, well, no, I don't. Probably every doctor would, but like there's sometimes with Tom, I don't know. Tom's not sacrificing himself for Adric, I can tell you that much. But Tom, but like Peter, there's something so much to the Fifth Doctor, just like this, she really knows this girl, and he's willing to give her the antidote over himself. It is does the right thing. And there's something so much true about it. Like his human doctor is willing to do that. It is such like a big like the Fifth Doctor does have a big heart. And like yeah, it fits the doctor so well that he's willing to sacrifice himself for someone that he barely even knows. And just because he got her into this mess. But also the whole thing about the doctor is that it's not even that he got her into this mess. He would do that for anyone. Except for the times he doesn't, of course.
I think he would do it for Turlo.
That's a good fucking question, man. I don't think so. He would have done it for Nissa and Tegan.
Oh, 100%.
Romana 2, yes. Romana 1, I don't know. Leela, you couldn't stop her. You know that was her destiny. Sarah Jane, Tom or John would have sacrificed themselves for Sarah Jane, of course, and Joe Grant. But but yeah, such a great ending to the character, and like Peter. I don't know if he particularly unlocked something this episode that the Fifth Doctor was missing throughout. I think it just helps that one, he is written by somebody that is just knows how to write for the Doctor. Like it's his, like it's like riding a bicycle for him. Like if there's two people in the world that knows how to write for the Doctor, and that's Terrence Dicks and Robert Holmes, and it's just like they just know exactly how to write for the Doctor. And Peter, because he is the generic Doctor, when he's written by those guys, he's the Doctor.
Yeah.
And then Peri this episode, she's fine. Nicola Bryant does a good performance in those scenes where she's with Sharaz Jek in particular. She's really, you can tell very much so. It probably doesn't take that much acting when Christopher Gable is giving that type of performance that to act that like fucking petrified.
Yeah.
But she is petrified in those scenes.
I think even outside of that, thinking back to, I really thought their scene together, like in the jail cell, was really good.
Yeah.
Where they're, discussing their potential deaths. And again, this episode, I mean, she is just a damsel in distress, but she's a really good damsel in distress, I guess.
Yes.
I'm endeared to her a lot more than I was just from Planet of Fire.
Yes. Well, wait next week.
She ain't no Tegan yet, but she has promise. We'll see. Now do we want to talk about regeneration?
Yes. My God. So he comes into TARDIS. He drops her off. Famously, did you hear about this, Ben? Peter Davis and I said multiple cons. Sorry, dear listener, if you think this is outdated or if this is crude. He has always said that he was upstaged in his own regeneration by Nicola Bryant's breast. Because they are out in present. during the regeneration scene, and he's just looking up at her the whole entire time, which
I
is very
I guess I was thinking about other things in that moment that her breasts.
funny.
More like
But
the doctor's dying.
but he is so good at that final moments of like he really gives a performance like he is about to die. And like again, I already mentioned the lines, but like that line of just like, is this death? It's like, that's so good. And then that line of
It
just
feels
like, it's
different this
different this
time.
time. And then we get like the cool effects of all of the companions one by one coming. Adric, Nissa, Turlo, and Turlo. I mean, Adric, Nissa, Tegan, and Turlo.
And Chameleon.
And Chameleon. Were you happy to see Chameleon?
I mean, he's my favorite Fifth Doctor companion, of course.
Spoilers for the retrospective.
But yeah, it's kind of just a better version of the end bit of Legopolis,
Yes.
where it's not just, oh, here's a clip. It's like they actually all came back and did new lines, even Matthew
Mhm.
Waterhouse.
Yes. Okay, okay, John, I'll come back.
And the last, I really like the last. I don't think he actually says it. He might just think it. But the last word Peter Davison says is Adric?
Yeah.
Question mark.
I think I said then the last person is Anthony Ainley with the master just going, die, doctor,
Well, yes,
die.
yes. But I
So
really
good.
love, you know, the last word that Davison says is Adric. Because in many ways, this is a parallel to Adric. Adric is the one he couldn't save, so he had to save Peri.
But then like that the whole like it's just the performances of everyone and all like the ways that they do it is great, but also just like the visual effects are very just creepy and disturbing in the
Yeah,
way that
it's
when the
like
master comes in.
what's the effect that they used to make the original Doctor Who intro?
Is it Splitgate or something like that?
But it's similar to that, where it's like that, like tunnel vision kind of
Yeah.
thing, and it looks really
And then like
cool.
we already mentioned John Lim's score is just fantastic at this point. And it gets really creepy with the master, and then all of a sudden it just like a burst of bam. It's Colin Baker. And what
Yes.
does Colin Baker say?
What an
Change
egotistical young lady.
changed, my dear, but not a moment too soon. It's like, oh god, he's already a prick 2 seconds in.
Yeah, it's not it's not a great first impression, to be honest. Where the second thing he says is, I mean, what's the first thing he says? It's like, you're expecting someone else?
Yeah. God
It's just
damn it, Eric
immediately,
Sayward.
yeah.
Get ready, Ben. It's a coming.
I'm gonna keep an open mind. But even just that, like 20 seconds is not a good first impression. I have to say.
Yeah, just wait. Well, thankfully, the people watching at home didn't have to wait a whole couple months for it. They got to watch it next week.
Yes, with Twin Dilemma, which that's weird. Do you know why they regenerated mid-season?
Well, that's why. It's because they didn't want that wait of like, oh, we had to wait all those months for Peter Davison to come back after Tom Baker. It's like, well, you just have this huge bump of people watching it for Peter Davison's regeneration. Well, next week you get to see Colin Baker, the new Doctor. It makes sense from a
I guess
scheduling
that's
point of view.
true. It's just not a
It
clean
just doesn't make sense when
break.
you also create the Doctor to be a miserable fucking bastard. But like,
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about Twin Dilemma in a few weeks here.
it's gonna be longer for us than it was for them back in the day.
That's Caves of Androzani.
Right. There's one thing I want to talk about before we go. before we get on to like the topics.
Yes. I I think this story has a clam, which is
All
the
right, no, wait. So do you want to talk about the client? Is because like I think it's worth thinking of the same thing because we didn't talk about the gigantic mouse. Not mouse, the
the
gigantic rat
cave
this episode.
beast,
Yeah,
the unnamed. Just yeah, that's it. That's what I'm talking about. The part two
which best and worst
cliffhanger.
special effect, worst special effect, of course, has to go to what is it?
It literally is just cave beasts.
Yeah, it's bad. It's help that it's in the shadow and it's not really that much of the story. I think I did read somewhere that it was going to be more of the story, but then it got like a cut, and I think that Graham Hopper was disappointed about that. Graham Hopper, you shouldn't be disappointed by that. You were saved.
Did they just think, oh, we need a monster? Here's a and other than man, here's a little a monster guy.
I guess. Like again, like Robert Holmes. Robert Holmes, this is his bread and butter. Like he knows what Doctor Who needs. This is the guy that wrote the gigantic fucking rat. So like,
I guess that's true.
what is the best special effect of this story?
I mean, the regeneration is pretty good.
I love, even though it's kind of a bad special effect. I love the matte painting at the beginning of the planets of. I guess that would have been Androzani Major and above them.
Like in Morgus's office.
No, at the beginning of the story of like when they first land, there's a big
Oh,
cave. There's a
minor
big
then.
map painting. Yeah. Well, uh,
Minor
wait a
is
minute. I
the moon
forget.
with the caves. Major is the home planet.
Yeah. So that's what I meant to say. Major is above them. Like, I guess I'm looking at it now. You don't even see any planets. It's just like you see like caves and dunes and stuff.
Yeah. The
It's very charming.
androids, Sharaz Jek's androids, kind of guards, I think look cool. And the little bit we see of the like scanning the doctor, and we see like a X-ray with his two hearts beating. That's cool.
Yes, no, that special effect is very cool. As well as we didn't talk about it too much. We should have talked about it more. Sharaz Jek's just outfit and like the mask is very cool
Uh,
as well.
and his prosthetic when he takes it off is really
Oh yeah,
something.
it's great. And then all the explosions of Peter running away from them on the planet. I love how his suit gets muddied.
Yeah.
Like I love the outfit is getting destroyed with the Doctor.
I think it really is just kind of a perfect. Everything kind of came together on all fronts for one of the best episodes of Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where if somebody said, "Oh, that story is a little bit overrated," you're like, "Come on,
Yeah.
don't be too much into yourself." Like, if you like Doctor Who, guess what? You're gonna like Caves of Androzani. I feel like even some people that wouldn't even like Doctor Who might enjoy this story.
Even the cave sets I think look good.
Well, it's because it's lit well. It's very dark and moody. It's not like overlit.
Yeah.
What to change? Younger me would have not had the fourth wall breaks of Morgus.
I think it works.
No, I think it works. Maybe change Morgus's hairdo. It's very dated. It's one of the most dated things in this whole thing. It's a very weird science fiction hairdo. Unless that is just what people wore in the 80s. I don't all right. Here's one complaint about this story. I don't like that his little assistant. I shouldn't say little assistant, but like I don't like how his assistant just gets in charge of everything. That's like you are probably just as responsible for some of these crimes. You are probably like it's not like it's like, oh well, guess what? I guess the person you work for was bad. We're gonna get you too. It's like usually it's like the second in command usually also has to leave too, and because they were responsible for some of the crimes.
I guess she threw him under the bus.
One of the biggest things also is just it's the Colin Baker's lines. It's like, come on, yeah, make it a little bit, make it a little bit more likable.
I think even he has three lines. Even if you just took out the second one, where he says,
Rather,
"You
yeah,
stupid
egotistical young
bitch,"
girl. Yeah.
Uh, it's the first and last one he can pull off.
All right. Let's do cliffhangers, Ben. Run them quickly so we can talk
Uh,
about them and rank them.
one, Doctor and Peri are executed by firing squad, and they're like got the red cloaks on, and it's really cool looking.
Which, Ben, let's see if you remember. This is a repeat cliffhanger. When was this used before?
I mean, there's the war games, of course.
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of. There could be other times this has happened before in the show, but that's the other main one that's in a pot one of a big story of a regeneration story that the doctor gets shot at on a firing squad, which is kind of funny that they both share the same pot one cliffhanger.
Two cave beasts attacks the mercenaries and rears close to where the doctor is hiding behind a rock.
The definitive worst cliffhanger.
Yeah. And three, the doctor takes controls of the mercenary ships, returning to Androzani Minor potentially destructively. He's held at gunpoint by Stotz, but exclaims, I'm going to die soon anyway, unless, of course, I can find the antidote. I owe it to my friend to try because I got her into this. So you see, I'm not going to let you stop me now.
And of course, Stotz has the great line of just like, "I'm murder you when I get in there, Doctor." While they're having like the little like torch that they're opening like the little like
Yeah.
cave, not a little cave, but the little like window to like shoot at the Doctor.
He's just like belting that out.
And also, it's one that's like direction and sound design. It's like there's a constant like, like it's going straight to the straight to the planet, as well as the camera is shaking and is going like it's so good.
That the best cliffhanger then?
Yes, it's the best cliffhanger, and it's gonna be high up there when we do top classic Doctor Who cliffhangers at the end of classic Doctor Who. It might be my favorite. It's definitely up there.
Really damn
It's
good.
one I have rewatched a lot on YouTube.
And you could say four, change my dear, and not a moment too soon.
Colin Baker's hair.
So, is it time, Cam? Cam, how would you rate Caves of Androzani?
Oh, it's a hard one. It's a hard one. You might say, Cameron, why are you saying it's a hard one? Well, this is where we have to talk about like, all right, are we rating this in for like our rating systems? We haven't talked about that much, but so much of it we've been rating against whatever has been on that era's doctor. We haven't been really talking about other doctors. So it's like here, it's like, all right, it's a 10 when you compare to other Fifth Doctor stories, but is it a 10 when you compare it to like other Fourth Doctor
I think
stories? It's
it's
like,
fair to compare. Like, you gave City of Death a 9.4. Is this better than City of Death?
yes, but then like is it better than
Is it better than Genesis?
it's I don't think it's as good as Genesis, but it's pretty close. And like I think it's like it's better than Pyramids of Mars, which I gave a 9.5. It's better than Seeds of Doom, which is a 9.2, which is really low. I think nowadays I probably would rate that the same as Pyramids of Mars at 9.5. But God, that's where I'm thinking. It's like, oh wait, am I gonna rate this in the high nines or does it deserve a 10? That's my dilemma right now. I don't know if I should just be be a little bitch and give it a 9.8 or 9.9. Yeah, I'm not gonna be a little bitch. It's a 10.
Yeah. I gave Genesis a 9.9. I gave City of Death a 10. It's a 10. It's just a 10.
There's a reason why. Spoiler alerts, a couple minutes, not a couple minutes, a couple seconds. It was rated number one story at one point in all of Classic Doctor Who. It's like not Classic Doctor Who, in all of Doctor Who. Like
Yeah.
it makes sense.
1000%. Um, which, yeah, obviously, to talk about Doctor Who magazine polls, it's number one for Fifth Doctor across time
Wow,
and space. Above
what a shock.
Earthshock. How far above Earthshock do you think this is? I mean, I guess we can.
Well,
I mean, you put it
yeah,
one above. Does it feel like a big gap?
yes, somewhat, but also in some ways no. It's the two best stories, and the third one is the Three Doctors. Those are the big three stories. even now, even we were talking about this more in the retrospective, but even now, it's like after having said watched every Fifth Doctor story, if somebody came to me and was like, "I just want to watch the big Doctor Who stories, what episodes of the Fifth Doctor do I need to watch?" These three were the three that I have watched, and these are the three that I would tell you to watch. Because, like, let's say in a world, Ben, that you listened to me and you just watched the Cliff Notes version of Classic Doctor Who. Do you think you would have been
Impossible.
disappointed if I told you? But do you think you would have been disappointed if I told you just to watch those three stories?
I mean, probably not. I mean, that's his best by a long shot. Watching Warriors of the Deep and Awakening and Arc of Infinity has not made me love Peter
And Planet of
more.
Fire.
Yeah.
But just saying, this whole season overall has not been a great season.
Yeah. Uh, typically, I guess I'll wait for it. Typically, this
Yeah.
isn't the end of season 21. At the end of seasons, I'll calculate an average. So I'll have to wait for that. Um, but not great. Uh, other than Daleks in this, it's bad. Frontios is fine.
So rankings and ratings, like you said, number one all the time. 2009, of course, this was rated number one. So New Who already existed, but still a classic Doctor Who beat it out. But in 2014, the last time we got the full poll, it ranked number four. Above it was Genesis of the Daleks, which makes sense, right? Genesis of the Daleks is the other big one of Classic Doctor Who. Blink was number two, and Day of the Doctor was number one. Day of the Doctor, of course, has the bias of this was a year or a couple months after it. So, like, people were going to be high on it regardless because it's like, oh my God, it's David Tennant and Matt Smith together.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't looked up. I'm gonna look up right now. Doctor Who poll 2023 best episodes. Because remember they did in 2023, they did a separate poll of the best stories rated by fans, and Caves of Androzani on that poll again rated number four, and above that one was Genesis of the Daleks, World Enough in Time, and Heaven Sent, which again, similar to Day of the Doctor, is a little bit of a bias for Capaldi there. Heaven Sent, probably not. I would say World Enough in Time and Doctor Falls, even though I love those stories, I don't know if it's fair to say they're as good as Genesis of the Daleks and Caves of Androzani. But we'll see when I'm curious to see your thoughts about them when we get there. But Heaven Sent, of course, is probably the only story. It's one of the very few stories where I'm like, "Yep, that's better." I could imagine a world that you could say that's better than Kaiser Androzani and Genesis of the Daleks.
Heaven sent.
It's that good.
That's Capaldi. Hmm. Okay. I will look forward to that.
It came out on my 15th birthday, and it was a
Uh,
great birthday
that'll
present,
uh,
I'll just tell you that.
that'll do it.
Oh, no, it's not. It's like a bet. I just said it was number 1. Fans voted above Genesis of the Daleks and Kaiser Androzani, like,
Yeah.
it's good, and, like, I am imagining, Ben, that that's gonna be one that's gonna be on top of polls till they stop making Doctor Who polls.
Wow. I didn't know there was any Capaldi that are like really beloved like that.
Haven't said it well enough in time in Doctor Falls. But Doctor Falls has that problem of you're not gonna remember. Well, it's not spoilers to say, but like Doctor Falls has the problem of it should have been a Caves of Androzani, but it didn't. It wasn't allowed to be Caves of Androzani because they last minute changed it and had it not be Peter Capaldi's last story. So then he just has this epilogue last story that's not really that great, in my opinion. Some people really like it. I'm not as much of a fan. I'm in the camp that I think he should have died he should have regenerated at the end of the Doctor Falls. It would have been a good death. But anyways, yeah. And if you're curious, Ben, the 2014 poll, the next time we're gonna get something high is gonna be Realms of the Daleks, which is one of my favorite stories. And that's of course Sylvester McCoy. So look forward to that.
Yes, I will. I
Oh, of
am probably
course.
looking forward to Sylvester McCoy more than Colin Baker. But
But then of course, like I'm trying to look at now, where is I would imagine the highest Colin Baker is probably It's
Vengeance on
probably
Varys
Vengeance on Varys.
or the Dalek story. Colin will definitely go quick. Just 11 stories to his name.
Well, if we count that way, remember there's some people out there like Doctor Who magazine that
Or
rates all of Trial of the Time Lords in one
8
fucking episode,
stories, if you want
which
to.
we're not gonna do, dear listeners. We're not gonna do all of Vengeance on Varys in one episode. Not Vengeance on Varys, sorry. We're not gonna do all of Trial of the Time Lord in one episode. We're not
Ma-
madmen.
We could do a supercut.
We gotta. Oh no, we're definitely gonna do the omnibus cut. That's gonna have to be a thing, Ben.
Okay. Well, tune in next week for it'll be spare parts. We're going to take a look at one of the other really great Peter Davison stories, not in television. And then the following week, we're going to do a Fifth Doctor retrospective. We're going to rank every story and talk about his era as a whole. So look forward to both of those. And then we'll jump into Colin Baker. Oh boy.
Oh God. God have mercy on our souls.
You've seen what, like 2 or 3 Colin Baker?
I've seen like I think 4.
Almost half.
Yeah, I've seen a good chunk.
Are you excited?
And with that good chunk was the good episode. So like,
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
peace out, everyone.